like to share with you a great way to practice improvisation. This is one way that I recommend my students practice all the different types of chords, and this is a great way that I like to practice as well. The idea is to learn about what I would call the chord palette, all of the most important and necessary chords that you would need to practice for improvisation, and some great ways to loop the chord palette so that you can practice the different scales and different textures over each chord. We're going to start with the major chord palette. Now, what I mean by the chord palette is a selection of chords for each type of sound. So we're going to talk about major sounds, minor sounds, dominant sounds. And within those categories, you're going to have different types of chords. So for example, in this lesson, we're going to cover just the major section. And we're going to go through the different types of major chords that you may encounter during improvisation. And then we're going to loop them and work on various ideas for improvisation. So let's go over your chord palette for the major sound. So your first section would be major 7, okay, the Ionian sound. Now within this section of chords, you can have major 7, major 9, you could have major 6, 9. Anything that does not involve adding a sharp 11 or flat 5 or anything like that. So anything that's within the Ionian mode works in terms of the voicing. So basically you can add 6s and 9s to the basic major 7 sound. Your next chord in the palette of major chords would be the major 7 flat 5 or sharp 11. This is the Lydian chord. So this could be a major 9 with a sharp 11, or it could be a major 6, 9 with a sharp 11, or just your standard major 7 flat 5, any number of voicings, just as long as you stay within the Lydian mode. The next sound is the major 7 sharp 5 sound. Now we're going to consider this a melodic minor sound, and this is going to be the Lydian augmented mode. So you can look at this like a major 7 sharp 5, or you can look at it, some players like to look at this as a triad over bass. In this case, in C, it would be E triad over C. It's another way of looking at that. The next chord in this category would be the diminished major 7 chord. Now, this works with a whole half diminished scale, but works in a major harmonic situation by playing this chord, then resolving to typically an Ionian chord. So I consider this to be part of this family because oftentimes it will happen during that time in a tune. The next major sound in the major chord palette would be the major 7 sharp 9. Now this is from one of the harmonic minor modes. This is the 6th mode of the harmonic minor. It's called the Lydian sharp 9. So you'll notice in this voicing we have a major 7 chord, we have 1, 3, and 7. We also have a sharp 11 and a sharp 9. That's why we call it the Lydian sharp 9 chord. You'll notice that all of these chords that I'm describing as falling into the major family all have very distinctive sounds, very different sounds. And by playing these chords, you will start to learn the different sounds. I believe that playing the chords, just playing them in time and really listening to the chords as you play them is one of the best ways that you can practice your harmonic ear training. So what we can do is just play each of these chords back to back and just call them out by name. Major 7 flat 5 or sharp 11, major 7 sharp 5, diminished major 7 sharp 9. Start by doing that so you know all of the names and all of the basic fingerings for each chord. Next thing is to play a scale that goes along with each chord. So you might play, the major scale, the Ionian first. Then play the major 7, sharp 11. The Lydian scale. Then play the major 7, sharp 5 and play the Lydian sharp 5 mode. Diminished major 7 and play the whole half diminished scale. sharp 9. Harmonic minor mode. Now, a great way to practice improvisation is to loop all of these chords back to back and just play the chords and then start to improvise. And you're going to improvise with a variety of textures, which we're going to talk about. But step one is just to play the chords back to back and just play those scales and try to improvise some melodies. Now here's your loop, starting with major 9, okay? Then your major 7, sharp 11, play some various voicings. Major 7, sharp 5, maybe some different chord voicings if you know them, and diminish major 7, and your major 7, sharp 9. Experiment with some different sounds, major 9 and sharp 11. Some different voicings. Before we start exploring all of the textures, the best thing to do is just to start experimenting with this palette. I think you'll find this to be very challenging, going from chord to chord, changing scales every time you change the chord. I think you'll find that this will show you a lot about your own current state of improvisation. It will show you what scales you know, what scales you need to review. It will show you how comfortable you are improvising over each of these chords. It will show you what chords you can recognize by ear and what chords you're not sure of when you hear them. It will do all of these things. So your first step is just to play a lot with this loop until you start to feel more comfortable with these sounds.